Today, I'm going to be showing you a build which you can use to find cold leads, do research on them, and send personalized cold emails automatically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk through this build with you, what each part in here does step by step. Then I'm going to run through the build to show you what it looks like from start to finish. And then finally, we're going to build this from scratch and get it all up and running. Now, before I carry on, please hit the like and subscribe button so I know to make more videos like this in the future. And if you're a business and want to build similar to this, please go to the description and hit the link to go to my website and we can start building this for you. Okay, so jumping into the build now, we're going to start with our first node here. So this is a basic chat trigger node where we're just going to basically interact with our AI agent. So in the box here, I'm going to say something like, find me 20 cold leads in London, let's say. So I type something like this. And then I shoot this message off to the AI agent and the whole workflow would start now. And that would be the only input we would actually need to give. So once I've sent that message off, it's going to go to our research agent here. And what that is going to do is going to find, as I've described it to, find 20 different law firms that are going to be in a given city. So in this case, it's going to be London. And it's going to do that by calling an Appify tool we've got here. So that's going to go on Google Maps, search for law firms that are based in London and scrape all the different details about them. Once it's done that, it's then going to go to our Google Sheets here, which we've created, and it's going to update all of the columns in our Google Sheets with details from the businesses that it's found. So if I jump over to our Google Sheets here, this is just an example of a few different rows filled out here. And you can see it's got the business name, the address, the email, the domain, the maps URL, some business information, which is going to be handy when we're writing our cold email, and the email that it's actually sent off. So this is kind of an example of what the sheet is going to look like when it's been filled out. Now, after we've gone through our research agent, we are going to go on to our next node here, which is a Google Sheets tool. Now, in reality, this would be connected like this. I've just disconnected it for now so that we aren't going to send out all these cold emails to these random businesses. But we're going to get the data that we've just uploaded to our sheets, and then we're going to go through each of the rows here, and we're going to send off custom emails. So as you've just seen in our Google Sheets, when we do all the scraping to find some information about a given business, I've instructed in the prompt for it to write down some notes that we can use in our cold emails here. So as you can see an example here, this is basically like what this law firm specializes in, all the reviews it's got, when it's available, and things like that. So we're going to use these notes in our email agent. So it's going to refer to these to make sure it can write a cold email, but it's going to be personalized for that specific business. Now, the agent's going to craft this email, send it off using the Gmail node here, and then we're going to update that message that we've just sent into our Google Sheets. So it's going to go through all of the different rows that we've got here in this loop, and then when it's done, that is going to be our automation complete. Okay, perfect. So that's the whole workflow now. So I'm going to run this agent. I'm going to ask it to find me 5 law firms in London. And the way that I've structured these prompts, I've made up a fake company that's going to be a recruitment company that specializes in finding talent for law firms. So that's why we're going to get good outputs here from our agents. They're not just going to be random. So yeah, we're going to run this and see what it looks like from start to finish. So I'm going to hit send, and I'm going to let this get to work. Okay, perfect. So it's gone through that whole workflow now, and I can see that it's updated our Google Sheets 5 times. So let's go and check that out and make sure it's updated correctly. Okay, great. So it's found us 5 different businesses here. It's given us their address, their contact emails, their domains, their maps URL, and some business information here, which we're going to use when we're writing our cold emails. Okay, great. So that's the first part of the workflow done successfully. Now we want to run this second part where we're going to go ahead and actually write these emails to send off to these businesses. Now, because I actually don't want to go and send these automatically, because this is just a test and we're showing you how this works as a proof of concept, I've gone and removed the emails from those businesses, or at least from 4 of them, and I've just left the top one with my email so we can see this working in practice. So I'm going to hit this second part of the workflow here, and now hopefully this is going to write us up an email to send off to the first entry in our Google Sheets, but obviously it's going to come to my email instead. So in theory, this is going to write an email to the company here, which is Waterfront Law, and it's got this business information here. So hopefully it's going to mention something along these lines of it being in the telecoms and digital infrastructure industry, and it's going to mention this in our cold email. So let's go ahead and give this second part a run. Okay, so we're running through the loop now, and hopefully it's going to run through the first entry fine, but it's going to fail on the others, obviously, because I've removed that email. Okay, perfect. So it's gone ahead and sent us an email. So let's check this out. Okay, great. So it's gone ahead and written this email up for us. It's mentioned, like I said, the industry they're in. It's mentioned their ratings and their reviews, and it's got to the point about how we can offer some value to them. And it's even offered to set up a quick 10 to 15-minute call. Obviously, this is a bit arbitrary. It's just Tom from Big Boy Recruits. It's just this made up company. But in reality, there'd obviously be for your recruitment company or whatever the case may be. Now, obviously, we could structure this email a lot better. This all just comes down to the prompting. I'm just showing you how this works and how we piece all of these different parts together, really. But we'd want to make sure this cold email is structured really well and is consistent in reality. Okay, so now that we've seen what each node does and we've shown it working from start to finish, let's go ahead and build this step by step. So the first node we want to add is a chat trigger node. So you want to hit that first step there and add your chat trigger, and then we can pretty much leave it as that. Now, our next node we want to add in is our AI agent. So I'm going to search AI up here, and we've got our connected chat trigger node. That's great. We don't require a specific format for this, so we just want to add ourselves a system message. Now, I've gone ahead and just pasted my prompts in here, but this is obviously going to have to change for your company or your different build. So you're going to have to adjust it for, like I said, the company you have. And how you want to research your companies and what different details you want to get out of them. But for the most part, this is kind of a basic template that you can use. And there's some key parts in here, like how we want to send information off to our Appify tools and things like that. But as always, go to the links in the description to be able to copy any of these templates and these prompts. Okay, now we want to add in our chat model here, and we're going to start with an Anthropic chat model. Now, really, this is quite a basic function, so you could get away with using most LLMs in this scenario, but I've just gone for a Claude model. Now we're going to add a simple memory node in here. We're going to change the context window to 10, just in case there's some back and forth, but for the most part, 5 will be fine. And now we're going to add both our tools. So firstly, I'm going to search for our Appify tool here. And then we'll come back to filling all those details out. And then the next one we want to add is our Google Sheets tool. I'm going to search that up. And again, we're going to adjust those details in just a moment. Okay, so I'm just going to rename these quickly as these are referenced in my prompt. So we want to make sure the agent is able to find the tools that it needs when it needs to. Now, you might think this isn't something you really need to do, but if you want to get consistent, accurate results, you want to make sure that any names that you've got of tools here are accurately referenced in your prompt, because that means that sometimes your agent might go to try and call a tool, but it either mistakes the tool because it's not named correctly, or it can't even find it. So you want to make sure these are named the exact same as how you've got inside of your prompt. Okay, so we're going to go to our first node now, and we are going to set up the tool here, which is where we're going to scrape Google Maps and find these businesses in whatever city it is that we name. So first, we're going to change the operation to run an actor and get a data set. And for me, I'll be able to find the actor we want here from my recently used, but if you haven't used it before, we're just going to select Appify Store Actors, and it's one of the most popular ones. There you go, so the first one there. So we're going to select the Google Maps scraper. Now, for our input JSON, we're actually going to let AI define this because depending on what the user's input is, it's going to change what information we want to get out of our Google scraping tool. So, for example, the city that we might want to search for is going to vary depending on what the user says, how many leads we're trying to find, and things like that. Now, if you're going to be searching for a lot of different cold leads, you might want to change your memory here just so you can fit in a little bit more. But for all intents and purposes, this is going to do for now. Okay, now going on to our next tool is our Google Sheets tool. This is where we're going to update our spreadsheet with all the leads that we're going to find. So we're going to change that to append or update row. And now obviously you want to go to Google Sheets quickly if you haven't already and create that table with all those different columns. So I'll go over here just to remind you. So we've got a business name, we've got an address, email, domain, maps URL, business info, and email sent. Then once you create that Google Sheets, you'll be able to find it in our document list here. So I'm going to go to cold email outreach and select the sheet, which is leads found. And now for our column to match on, we could actually change this to anything, but I'm just going to put it as the maps URL. Okay, great. Now, in all of these fields that we want to update, we're actually going to let AI define what this is going to be. So I've put in a brief description here for each of them, which you can go ahead and copy. But to be honest, you'll probably be able to get away with most of these just being left blank. Actually, we don't want to click on the email sent one. We want to leave this as empty, as at this point, there won't be any email sent. So you want to make sure you leave this part empty. Okay, great. That is our Google Sheets tool done. So we can move on to the second part of our workflow now, which is where we're going to actually write up these cold emails. Okay, so after your AI agent node, we want to add in our Google Sheets node here. So I'm going to search for Google Sheets, and it's going to be get rows from a sheet. Now, again, we're going to select the sheet that we created. Then we want to make sure that we're naming it correctly in our workflow here. Okay, perfect. Now we want to loop through all of the rows that we've got in our sheet so we can find the emails for each entry that we've got and then send them a personalized cold email. So we're going to search for a loop here. That's fine. We can leave that as one. And I'm going to delete this part. Now I'm going to add our AI agent node. Okay, now before I get into anything else, I'm going to rename this email agent just so it's clear. And then I'm going to do the same for the other one, which is our research agent. Now, this is going to be quite useful, not because we're going to reference anything that requires these agents, but because if we get any bugs in our workflow, we're going to be able to find out where they are a lot more easily. Okay, so we're going to add in our chat model now. We're just going to select OpenAI, and this will do GPT 4.1 mini. If you really want a higher reasoning model, you can try and get hold of the 5, but you're going to probably need to fill in a few business details to be able to do that. Again, we're going to put a simple memory in. This isn't too big of a deal. And then we're actually going to add a think tool in here. So the agent's going to use this to make sure it really reasons and thinks about the cold emails it's going to send out. So hopefully this is going to encourage it to send out some really personalized emails that sound like they're coming from a human. So I'm just going to adjust the tool description here. This isn't really for the LLM. This is just more for ourselves if we ever have to go back into this workflow. Now we want to add our final two tools, which is going to be the Gmail tool to send off the email and another Google Sheets tool. So we're going to update our Google Sheets with that email that we're going to send. Okay, so this is going to be our Gmail tool here. This is going to be a field you're actually going to drag and drop from over here once you've run it. But if you just copy this text, it's going to work. So this is going to be the business's email. So this is quite key that we get this right. That's why I've drag and dropped it rather than let AI define this. So this is going to be what we send, the email address that we need to send our email to. Then our subject, we're going to let AI define this. You can put this as something fixed if you want, but I've just let AI define this for now. Then we want to make sure the email type is on text. And then our message we're going to let AI define and put a little description here for it as the email to send to the cold lead. Okay, now for our other tool, we want to add our Google Sheets tool. And like always, we're going to rename it just to make sure it's referenced correctly in our prompt. And then we're going to change this to append or update row. And then select the Google Sheets that we have made. Now we're going to match on the business name here. And then we're going to let AI define this. Now we're actually going to leave everything else the same here. Or empty, sorry, and we're going to only fill in the email sent here. We're going to let AI define this, and we're going to describe it as the email that's been sent to the lead. So this is going to leave all the other data in our Google Sheets the same. All it's going to do is update that final column, which is going to be the cold email that we sent off. Now, just going back to the AI agent here, we're going to fill out all these different parts. I thought I filled it out before, but we haven't, so we're just going to do it now. So we're going to change that to define below as we don't have a connected node. And then our prompt message, we're going to give our agent all of the different information from the entry that's going through that loop. So we've got our business name, the address, the email, the domain, the maps URL, the business info. Like always, you'll be able to drag and drop this over here if you'd run this workflow, but if you haven't, you'll be able to just copy this text and it should work. Now we want to add in a system message here. So I've gone ahead and just copied mine in here. This could probably do with a little bit more content structure as we've got in here. I've got some, but if you want to make your cold emails really good and consistent, you probably want to put a lot of effort into how you structure these emails. Now, like I said, as always, these prompts and templates are available in the description. So just make sure you like, subscribe, and fill out those forms, and I'll send them over to you. Okay, so that is our whole workflow done from start to finish. We start with a chat trigger node where we're going to ask our AI agent here how many leads we want to find, what city we want to find them in, and what type of industry we're looking for. So whether that be law firms or McDonald's, whatever the case may be. This research agent is then going to go and find these on Google Maps, and it's going to update all the details it finds to our spreadsheet. We're then going to go through the next part of our node where we're going to get all that data. We're going to loop through all the data that we found, and we're going to send emails off to each one of those cold leads, all with personalized emails. Now, if you're a business, or more specifically a recruitment company, and you want to get hold of something like this, you think this could be useful for your business, go to the link in my description to get in contact with me, and we can start building this for you. Now, if you found this build useful, please hit the like and subscribe button. And that is all for today, so I'll catch you in the next video.